What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be reacting to The View again. You know, hate watching this show. But the clip we're looking at right now, they're reacting to the press secretary at the White House banning the AP from the Oval Office, which I definitely feel was done rightfully so. But let's see what these ladies have to say about that.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt announced that the Associated Press has been banned from the Oval Office for not honoring the recent renaming of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Do you see how truly unfunny this person is? Like, this is such a charade. She's pretending as if saying Gulf of America was some, I don't know, some like next level insanity, which it really isn't.
Take a look.
It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions.
100%. I honestly love her. Amazing. And when you compare us to the last press secretary, oh my God. But let's get back to what she said. 100% right. There's hundreds, maybe even thousands of different organizations that want to get into that room, want to have ask him if they could just ask one question. That would be huge. But you see, these people have a different level of entitlement. They just believe, these liberals, they just believe that that's their right. That's what's supposed to happen. People are just supposed to bend over backwards for them.
Reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
So, the White House Correspondents Association released a statement, and it said, the White House cannot dictate how news organizations report the news, nor should it penalize working journalists because it is unhappy with their editors' decisions. And the AP is signaling legal action, calling this a violation of their First Amendment rights. Now,
this is complete nonsense. It was changed by legislation. It was signed that it is no longer the Gulf of Mexico. It is the Gulf of America. That's it. Territories have been changed. Names have been changed. That's what it is. When they come into the Oval Office, when they have the privilege of being able to even speak to the President of the United States, one of the most important, actually the most important man on the planet, they can't even give the little bit of respect and just show a little bit of respect and call it what it's just been changed legally to. All these dummies just clapping. I know there's probably not real people clapping anyways.
And the reason I got to read that is because I said, you know, it's so funny. I haven't seen it reported anywhere else. I haven't seen that piece of information anywhere else.
What, that it's illegal?
That the AP said, that they said, listen, we're not standing for this.
Right. Yeah.
That's a huge, and because I was saying to Robin, I said, they all need to get together and push back. You can't do it one at a time. She said, no, and then she gave me that piece of information. So are they right?
Yes, they are. I mean, we do have the Constitution still.
She is the most insufferable. I mean, like, I hate watch this show, but when she starts talking, oh my God, my blood starts boiling. This race baiting, race hustler, DEI hire.
At least in the United States. And, I think the First Amendment is the First Amendment because it's one of the most important amendments, right?
It's this, when it's good for them, this is why you can't, with the liberals, they cherry pick so much. When it's good for them, oh, we're all First Amendment. But when they don't want to, when people are saying things that they don't want to hear, it's misinformation. It's dangerous.
And it's freedom of speech. It's the most important, arguably. And the press is the direct check for the government overreach. It's the direct check. It's the press reports to the American people the facts of what is really happening. Or, and so I think there's no question that the AP should defend its constitutional rights. And what the Trump can, I guess, certainly bar people from the Oval Office, but what they cannot do is tell people what they can say. They cannot do it.
That was never up for debate. What are they bringing? You see, they bring these ludicrous points. They say, you can't tell us what... They weren't telling. They're just saying that you're not going to be allowed in the White House if you continue in this disrespect. That's simple as that.
And one last thing. The AP Style Guide is many newsrooms across the country follow the AP Style Guide. And it was published on January 23rd of this year after the executive order. And what it said was renaming the Gulf of Mexico is one thing, but Trump's order only carries authority within the United States, and other countries do not have to recognize the change. And so they're reporting it accurately.
So I disagree with barring the Associated Press. When I worked in the White House, I always fought for media access, both at home and abroad when we were traveling.
You disagreed with what?
With the decision to bar the Associated Press from being in the Oval Office. I don't actually hate renaming the Gulf of America, and I'm going to tell you why. It's a more inclusive term. It is North America. Mexico and the United States are part of the Americas. It would be petty if he called it the Gulf of the United States by basically saying it's our countries, it's not yours. But these are the things Donald Trump does to trigger reaction from the media, so they cover this and pay more attention than we're wholesale getting rid of government agencies, or we're confirming Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. I'm perfectly fine with it, and I'm perfectly fine with the...
She's like literally, oh my God. She's supposedly the Republican, because they can't just be like 5 friggin' clucking hens just talking about how bad friggin' Trump is, how he's Hitler. So they have one half a Republican. I mean, if you could even call her a Republican, but she's more just like a normal liberal. So now that liberals are just absolutely insane, like I guess like just a normal liberal is a Republican. Interesting.
The AP covering it how they think they should.
In that case, this country that we're in was settled by indigenous people, right? And yet they named the country after an Italian white man, Amerigo Vespucci.
You see this race baiting. You'll see, because we're going to be doing the whole challenge. It's just race baiting. Like, they're actual race hustlers.
Yeah.
That's what America is named after. Amerigo Vespucci,
Well, that
a
would throw
white
off their hats,
European.
Nathan.
Why is it named after a white man?
Well, let me ask
when it
you
was settled by
North and
indigenous
South America.
people.
Well, let me just add some color, because I didn't know how common it was. Sorry, color.
Wait.
context.
So which indigenous people? Was it, the ones that constantly were killing and raping each other? So who exactly was in charge? Was it the last person who killed and raped everyone, or the person that killed and raped them? How does that work exactly?
All the things. But so technically, it is okay to rename this. Different people have Cuba, Mexico, and the U.S. have claims, depending on whether you're talking about conservation or otherwise, hundreds of miles out into the sea. This actually happens in the global economy or in a country. Oh my God. So the body of water south of China, which much of the world calls the South China Sea, China calls it South Sea, Vietnam calls it Eastern Sea, and Philippines has designated parts of it the West Philippine Sea. So it happens. I needed to know that because I was like, why would you wide swath it? And Google and GPS things will call it Gulf of America only in this country. So then if you search it outside, so it's like, it's a little more complicated. It's a dumb thing to hang your hat on.
Why does he care about it when the prices are going up on eggs?
Now they care about prices.
People did not vote to rename the Gulf of Mexico. They voted because they kept complaining about prices and inflation.
That's an uncomfortable topic for him
As far
right
as
now.
I can see, inflation is on the rise.
It is on the rise.
Thank you very much.
People will talk about the...
These people, and let's just conclude it there because the video's over, but this just gives you a little bit of taste of how deranged and how crazy these race hustlers are. But it's been a great first episode and many more to come. You guys have a blessed one now.